Okay, so this is about as good as it gets at the moment. The Polestar 3, it is brilliant. There isn't anything that's been released or is in this country that is even close to being as good. And so I have 10 big wins coming up for this car, along with a couple of things that could make it a bit better. The first though is the design. At first, on pictures, it doesn't look like a proper SUV. It doesn't look like it's going to have a commanding position, but it does. This thing is big. At the front, there's this, which actually attaches the air to the car, and then that travels naturally over the back of the car to this, what they call an aero wing, and this is all to do with aerodynamics and downforce and range. It doesn't just look clever, it is clever. To buy, it's expensive, but then so is an eco house, and people still buy eco houses. Reason being, they're good, they're fashionable, and well, it's an eco house. And I think people will still buy this as well because it is good. Can we afford one? We'll come on to that. But already this is cheaper than anything else in its class as good. 510 horsepower and 438 miles of range is what they're claiming. How? Maybe not. But people that have Polestars are claiming that 95% of what they get is what is quoted. And that is very optimistic. It's becoming a thing, isn't it? That Polestar batteries, they've got a good management thing going on. Speaking of eco houses, it is kind of like one in here because there's so much room, and there's obviously an eco house kind of pan roof. These seats are absolutely fantastic, and of course it comes with these seats. I know they're not really connected to Volvo, but they kind of are, and they're almost like, you know, when you go to a furniture store and you see one of those recliners and they're like £2,000, you go, blimey, that's what these seats are like. And the amount of room back here is amazing. Do you know what, I'd even go as far as to say it wouldn't surprise me if they swapped out things like S-classes and started using these for travelling boxers or footballers or celebrities around. What this does come with, which the Polestar 2 and 4 doesn't have, is a very clever air suspension system. It's a dual chamber air suspension system. What this does is it enables that magic carpet ride feeling, and you have 3 settings. It does that because it has 2 air chambers over each wheel. So not only is it really comfortable, and when you change it, it does actually change the feel of the car, which is very clever, but it can also change very fast. In fact, it can change every 2 milliseconds, making it one of the fastest, if not the fastest, air suspension system in the world.
With the rumoured €1 billion on development and a further 20 million earmarked for chasing you around Facebook until you buy one, Polestar have locked you in their premium customer sites. They know what they have to offer is good, and they won't stop until you agree.
Safety is next, and this is where possibly the Volvo influence comes in, because here you've got a LiDAR system which shoots a laser beam out. There's one at the back which shoots a laser beam out from the back as well. And then down here at the front you've got something called a smart zone. So instead of the LiDAR, or additionally to the LiDAR, there's sensors and radar in here. There's also sensors inside the car to monitor the occupants. You could say it works a little bit like dog mode, but not quite like dog mode. But it will remind you if you've left your kids in the car. You wouldn't do that though, would you?
Unlike what Polestars say, this doesn't, to me, drive like a sports car. To me, it's more of a gliding experience, like it and the road had a sit-down meeting with HR to arrange a working agreement. It's relaxing. One minute you're all angry and everything, the next you're soft and calm, like a beautiful butterfly.
Back onto these sensors, and there's 3 things I want to show you here in this pilot assist. The first is how long you get with your hands off the wheel. So I'm going to engage this down once, which is very familiar, and pilot assist is now engaged, hands off. There's one way of getting your watch time up, isn't it? Just do these. Keep your hands on the steering wheel. That's the first visible warning, but no audible warning yet. And we're actually on a bend here too. So it says keep your hands on the wheel, so there's your audible warning, but it will still keep doing this until eventually it thinks you've gone to sleep and will pull over for you. The second thing is the amount of pressure that you need to keep this active, so that you can feel this steering with your hand in place and you'll never get a warning, which is so relaxing. And the third thing is, normally on the motorway you get lane change assistant, where you would indicate it will wait because of the rear sensors until it is definitely safe to overtake. Then it will accelerate and overtake. For some reason it only works on the motorway for me. Shall I just tap it down again? No, but it is very good, and it's something you don't think you'll use, but you do, because yeah, it's clever that. I'm just gonna change lanes.
As a smart viewer, you've probably figured it out. This is one of my favourite cars. Not only does it drive better than most, it's also quieter, and no one will hate you for having it. It also comes with its own personal assistant that can find you charging stations.
Here's what I found along your route for charging stations.
Do a weather link.
Today in Gloucester, it should feel as high as 14 and as low as 1.
Or help diagnose disorders.
My feet are cold.
Cold feet are a normal occurrence, especially if you live in cooler climates. Cold feet can be a sign of poor circulation.
No,
Wearing warm socks
I meant put the heater on, dear. Let me just show you this, which is the settings, charge. This is the very nice animation, 150 miles, 48%, so it's easily 300 miles, easily. And it sometimes gains some, and then if you press the home button here and then come down to range and trip, you can then see your dynamic range. I like this when you go along because it's showing you instant consumption. And then the history, which tells us now the average consumption is 35 kilowatt hours per 100 miles. Wow, that is really good, isn't it? What do we think of this? The Polestar 3 weighs 2,500 kilograms, which is 500 kilograms heavier than a Model Y, which is interesting because range-wise, yes, the Model Y is slightly better, but there's not much in it, and that is really clever. 500 kilos is quite a lot. Try and squat 500 kilos. Oh, you do CrossFit. But anyway, it's all made of plants. So 2,500 kilograms of plant. Flax plant this is.
You know how some people get really attached to their plants? That was me for an entire 2 weeks. I didn't even have to change my driving habits. I went everywhere in it, and charging literally was a breeze. Sounds like an advert, isn't. The motorway battery usage was really impressive. I found myself thinking, how is this actually doing this?
This is a useful thing here. You've got like a double head-up display. First of all, you've got a head-up display, which is very difficult to show you on the camera, but the speed limit is enormous and it's very bright, and I love the font. And this is your other display, which again is just very minimal, but I think it's very nice to have. A couple of other things here too as well. The amount of controls that you can have with this car is absolutely fantastic. If I go to drive, look at this. You've got creep mode, you can switch that on or off. You've got the one pedal drive, you can control how much the life-changing one pedal drive is. I have it on standard, which is fine. Then of course again you've got your suspension feel there, and then you can have the power delivery, you can have range or performance, and there are so many brilliant things here. But this is something that's interesting. Automatic speed limiter. So what this does is when you're in a speed limit, you'll get the sign of the road, the speed of the road will show you next to the speed that you're actually doing, and it will give you a little tiny beep, not very loud, but if you press this on, automatic speed limiter on, it's impossible to speed. Here's something you might really like. It's the Bowers & Wilkins sound system. It has 25 speakers. It has a sub in the front, a sub in the rear. The rear parcel shelf has 2 mid-range. Then there's 2 mid-range in the rear doors with tweeters. Then 2 more mid-range with tweeters in the front doors. And then this one is a full range. That doesn't add up to 25, but there are also speakers in the headrests to give you Dolby Atmos and 3D immersive sound. Not only that, but you can look here and you can change your sound by having room, stage, and so on. There's your equalizer there. How good is it? What is it like? We'll come on to that. But that's not all the sound can do, because outside the car there's more additions. Under each one of these wheels in the arches is a microphone that reads and registers the sound coming up from the tyres into the car. That information is transferred into the processing unit inside the car, where it is analysed and anti-phase waves are made. They're then sent through the speakers inside the car to cancel those sounds out. Yes, very much like noise cancelling headphones, just expensive ones.
Yeah, we should talk about money, and we'll do that in a second. It could do with being maybe a little bit cheaper, but let's not forget this is a premium brand, and it wouldn't be premium if it didn't cost money, like these shoes that are £850.
I think I'm going to agree with everyone in that nothing really drives like a Polestar. I'm just sort of saying, as far as electric cars go, and this particular car, I feel like royalty in this. I think it could be the air suspension, the quality of the materials, a little bit more character. I think if the Tesla Model Y had air suspension, then this would have a problem, or the Tesla Model Y would be a lot more successful. But it doesn't. Yes, but we can't have just all wins, so we have to have a few bits. So I call this the honesty bit. Firstly, the price. Let's have a look at this. So 69,000. That's a lot. 71,000 for the long range dual motor, and then if you want to add the Bowers and Wilkins and the pilot pack, that's going to be £5,000 on top of that. Used or approved used. Oh, then more for wheels as well. Wow, 63 odd grand for a used one. But interestingly, when you look at the finance deals that Polestar are doing, there are one or two finance deals that make this £495 a month. This is a subjective one because it's supposed to have two subs. There's supposed to be one in the front and one in the back. Well, obviously it is, because they wouldn't lie, but I can't hear those frequencies. Now, you can change the sub frequency from the control center, but it doesn't sound like it's changing a sub. You can't feel it. It doesn't move the mirrors. Is the system good? Yes, it is. Don't let it put you off. But it is a thing. The next little thing is this here, where you charge your phone. If you go round a corner, your phone will slip off that. Locking and unlocking. Now, obviously this works with NFC like most modern cars, so you can use your phone as a key. You've also got this little fob, which is your NFC fob, and if that doesn't work, then you have this, the key card, but it only works with this door. It doesn't work with any other door, and you have to do it just right. Look, see? The other thing is as well, when the car is unlocked, you can't open or close the windows without the key being on the bit that starts the car. Finally, and this only is a very tiny thing, but whilst this seat is one of the best seats in the world, it's right up there with S-Class, EQS seat, really nice, does the massage, and the massage you can feel. It really is a good massage. I'm trying to get this to move forward, you have to use driver adjustments, and then you have to press steering wheel, and then you have to use the arrows in and out to move it in and out. For me, I want it a little bit closer, because this arm is almost perfect, but this arm is not quite. I'm nitpicking now.
Electric cars are like any other. Some are brilliant, some not so much. But writing them all off together in one thing is very unfair, especially when something like this exists. Have a go in one. Something that feels an appointment to drive. Yeah, it's not perfect, but it is clever and cool and just different enough to matter. Would I have one? Yeah. All I need now is an eco home.
Final thought then, noise, vibration and harshness. This does remind you how quiet manufacturers can make cars if they want to, with things like double glazing and soundproofing and good tyres and many other things. It makes you realise, hang on a minute, are people cutting corners? There's a common misconception too as well with electric cars, that because it's an electric car and it doesn't have an engine, it's okay for it to be more noisy. Well, it's not. And this car proves that it doesn't have to be that way either.